Welcome, everyone. It's Friday again, TGIF. Today we are working on, what are we working on? We are working on being psychic, common myths around being psychic. So, what are we doing here? Every week we come here to help you raise your vibrations, help you raise your frequencies to where your highest dreams, your highest vibrations, to where your dreams already live. They already exist and you just need to get aligned to them. So that's what we do here every week, helping you get aligned to your deepest dreams and desires. And having said that, there's a lot of people that have a lot of misconceptions around being psychic. And so that's what I wanted to address today. I've noticed getting some comments, especially on YouTube. Facebook doesn't seem to do that so much because I think it's more filtered with people that are more aligned with me, and I think YouTube has more people that, yeah, not so aligned, and they use it as an opportunity to get on somebody's platform and sort of preach about what's right and what's wrong. So, having said that, who's in the house today? We don't have London. We have Spain today. Sicily, excuse me. London, Roma's in traveling in Sicily today. So welcome. Great to have your support here. We have Canada. We have Sweden. We have, what is this? Oh, Champa. You didn't say where you're calling in from. Well, anyway, welcome. I can't remember where everybody's from. So, oh, thank you. I always appreciate your compliments. So, today, when we're talking about being psychic, now, when I think of being psychic, I think of being able to know more things and being able to tap into things that maybe other people are not quite aware of. I wanted to read you the definition of the dictionary's definition, the ones that I felt were most applicable to what we're talking about. And so it actually comes from a Greek word that means psyche. And so that relates to the mind, the spirit, and mostly our mind and our spirit. And so one of the definitions was a person who is sensitive to things beyond the natural range of perception. And then another definition is a person who uses ESP or extra sensory perceptions to identify information that's hidden from the normal senses. So that doesn't make someone better any more than someone who has another gift. Like my daughter is an amazing piano player. It's just one of her gifts. And so we all have different gifts. And so tapping into these extra senses can help you know more things than other people might know. Doesn't make you better. And the more of these senses that we can engage at one time, the more we can know or tap into realms that are beyond the normal range. The first time that this happened to me was, or the biggest sort of, there's something going on being more than just myself, was before I left the Jehovah's Witnesses. I was at home upstairs. It was in the evening. The kids had gone to bed. My husband was at work. And I was upstairs reading a book, a self-help book. And I smelled this old lady perfume. And I smelled my hair, I smelled my clothes. I couldn't find where this smell was coming from. And it wasn't a smell I was familiar with. And so I kind of ignored it. I went back to reading. And then it happened again, only this time there were a couple more things that happened. So one was I had the sensation of someone petting my hand. And then there was a simultaneous thought that entered my head that said, You're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. And I just burst into tears because I knew that there was something bigger going on here. It felt like there was a presence here, or at the time, that was supporting me. This was before I left the Jehovah's Witnesses, before I got divorced, and it was a really, really rough, really hard time. And so hearing those words was exactly what I needed to know, that I was being supported. But had I not had the ability to tap into these additional senses, that might have gone over my head and it may not have made any sense. But that was my first experience of tapping into senses that are bigger than just me. So let's go into some of, and I also want to say, what do we have things going on here? I also wanted to say that there isn't anybody that could have told me that that wasn't real, that I didn't experience that, because it was very visceral. It engaged so many senses that it was very, very real for me. And the spiritual realm had a message for me. And so all of that together just made total sense. And it was perfect for me at that time. But let's talk about some of these myths. So, some of these myths, and the biggest one that came into play for me was this idea or concept that it's evil and you're of the devil. So those are all the YouTube comments where they're telling me, this is from the demons, and this is what the Jehovah's Witnesses told us as well, is that we're under the control of Satan if you do any of this kind of stuff. And so everything that we believe is formulated by all of the experiences that we have, whether it's people telling us things, and so things that we hear, it could be things that we see, it could be things that we feel. But if we're told ahead of time that these are evil things, it's evil spirits that you're connecting to, then when we have an experience like the experience that I had, that may have freaked people out to have that kind of experience. But for me, it was just so comforting. Even though I had been, raised as a Jehovah's Witness, and we were always on guard about Satan and his demons and etc. I could tell you a bunch of stories about that. But at any rate, so it's these beliefs that are going to govern what our feelings are about all of this psychic stuff. And so if you have a lot of religious programming and people that have told you that this is how it is, then that's what you're going to believe. So when I left the Jehovah's Witnesses, I wanted to test, is that really true? Is it true that, an experience like I had was from the demons? So when I left the Jehovah's Witnesses, I went to a psychic fair about an hour and a half away, so that no one would find out. No one would know that I went to a psychic fair, which was completely forbidden as a Jehovah's Witness. But when I was there, I had a reading by some man I didn't know, never met him before. And he started telling me things about my father that made me cry. Like, it really touched me deeply. This man I didn't even know, like, how did he know this stuff? And so when I left there, I went back home and I looked up the school that he was affiliated with. And at the time, I think it was the Berkeley Psychic Institute. And so I went there and I walk in, and there's a man sitting in a chair, and a woman is sort of waving her arms around this man. And so the director welcomed me and asked if I wanted to feel an aura. So I was still a Jehovah's Witness at this time, and this was like kind of like not okay, but I was curious. And so I just did what the woman was doing. And then it was like, oh. And so the director, he could tell that I noticed something. He says, well, what do you notice? And I said, well, it's sad right here, but it's not sad anywhere else. And then I felt another spot where it was sad. And then the man sitting in the chair confirmed some feelings of sadness that he was having. And again, no one could have convinced me that what I was feeling was bullshit. That was a very real sensation that my body knew was true. And so that became the beginning of my exploration into this whole spiritual realm, which for me, it, it was not scary. It was not the demons. It was all about energy and frequencies and tapping into senses that became stronger and stronger over time. And so now I can measure how many senses someone has access to. We're only taught we have like 5, 6 senses. But when the Egyptians were at their height, they had access to 360 senses. So this is how many senses I have access to. A lot of other people do. A lot of you have more access to way more senses than you even realize. And being able to access all of this information, all of this data coming in from a bunch of different ways, and I haven't even identified all the ways. That's a book down the road. um, However, when you have access to this many senses, this is how I'm able to tap into someone on the other side of the planet without ever speaking to them, knowing anything about them, and even many of you here. And I can tap into their quantum field. So this is all energy, this is all frequencies, and know things about them, about their energies and what's going on. So this is how I do my vibrational altitude reports, where I measure, I don't know, 50 things. So this is how this all works, is just have access to more information than most people have. And so that's kind of how that works. Welcome, Denmark. And Florida and Vancouver and Texas. Oh, great. Great to have all of you here. And please, yes, thank you for the reminder, Roma, for everyone to please like and share this. I hear all the time, more people should know about you. Well, share it, share this, and let your friends and family know so that they can come here and be educated and to receive my gift of healing. So a little bit later, we're going to do a clearing, a MediClearing, so we can clear these things that make you afraid of this realm that's just full of support and information for you. So another of the myths, let me grab my notes here. Another one of the myths. So we have access to all this information. And so people wonder or think, this is the second myth, is that we know everything. So people will ask me, well, what's the winning lotto numbers? Where's my keys? And things like that. And so people wonder, can she tell what I'm doing in private? And so I liken it to this. So no, we don't know everything. We don't know everything. And I kind of liken it to walking into a library. Now, when I first started tapping into my gifts, there really weren't very many filters. Like, all the information, I was walking into the library and all the information was just coming at me, and it can be overwhelming. And so sometimes you see and know things that you wish you didn't know. Like you see a man holding his daughter's hand walking down the street, and there's some sexual abuse going on there. It's like, oh, I didn't want to see that. So in the beginning, it can feel a little overwhelming, where you're getting all this information. Now, for me, it's more like going into the library, and I don't know what's in the book until I take it off the shelf and I open it up and I look at it. Otherwise, it's just too much information. And so sometimes some of you will shut all of this stuff down because you don't know how to navigate. You don't know how to turn down the volume. You don't know how to make it so not so overwhelming. So we don't know everything, and as we tap into the information, you've probably heard of the Akashic records. So everything that's ever happened in the past and out into the future are stored in a database, so an energetic database called the Akashic records. And so this is part of the information that I tap into is the Akashic records. And people have different ideas about where they're located. Some say it's in your bones. Some say it's, way up high and somehow you access it. And I believe that it's in your creative rings that are stacked above your head. So the more creative rings that you have, the more of the Akashic records that you have access to. So we're only given as much access to these rings as we're ready for. So having more rings is not necessarily a good thing because, as we've talked about in the past, the rings will amplify everything. And we may not want some things that we carry in our energy field amplified. Like if you're really kind of an angry person or really afraid, you don't want that to get any bigger. All right, let's see. Another myth. So one myth is that we foretell the future. So there are some people that have that gift of being able to see different events that are happening. I don't go down that rabbit hole because I know that there are too many moving parts. There are so many things that can shift and alter a timeline. Like I might see what might happen, a possibility that could happen, but it's only if everything stays exactly where it is right now, like you're reading it in present time, right? But a million things could change between here and there. So there's when someone is looking at the realm of possibilities, like sometimes I'll say, well, it looks like about in 3 months that might happen. And that's if we stay on the trajectory. That's if we are staying aligned with that thing. If we get off track, the timeline could change. So I don't foretell the future, and our future is not predestined. I don't believe it's not predetermined. There's so many things that we can do that can change the timelines, that can change the outcomes. So we're not like just set in a way that this is just what's going to happen. Another myth is being psychic is not the same as being a medium, like a trance medium or a medium. You can be a medium and be a psychic, but not all psychics are mediums. So a medium is someone who channels a spirit or a dead person. It could channel an entity. And I have channeled uh, beings from the past. I've channeled Mother Mary of Jesus before, which was actually very fascinating to feel the difference between her humble, loving, kind nature, but this really powerful, certain, grounded energy. That was really a beautiful thing to feel. But in general, people who channel, they're not channeling their frequency. And so over time, I've seen this before with people who channel, is that it will distort their energy field. It will distort their frequencies because it's probably not aligned. And so I don't channel. I get information. I work with about 40 different guides, but they're all out there. I don't need to have them come into my energy field to get information. We just tap in. We just work together. I don't need any of them to even come in to get their information or support. So I don't channel. I'm not a medium. I don't claim to be a medium, even though I can channel if I wanted to. Um, let's see. And then another thing is that sometimes people think that psychics. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any of these things, but I personally don't use like Ouija boards. I don't use tarot cards. I don't use a pendulum. I used to use a pendulum because it's works with energy. That's how the pendulum moves. It's not the demons making it move. It's energy that moves through your arm, and then it goes through into this pendulum. I don't use a pendulum now only because it's not very efficient. It's not fast enough for me. I like to know now. so so there's that. And yeah, I don't use a crystal ball, and I also don't cast spells. Although there are, maybe psychics that do all of that stuff, but that's not any of the stuff that I do. And another myth is that uh, psychics should work for free. I always laugh at that because, like my brother is a very gifted goldsmith, and he believes he was, some sort of a metalsmith in a past life, and because someone just taught him how to solder, and he makes the most amazing jewelry. He works for a jeweler in San Francisco, and that's a gift. You would never expect him to work for free. And musicians, they get paid for what they do. So this is just another gift that we've been given. And so yes, we do charge for what we do. In fact, we should. I believe the more gifted you are, the more you should be compensated for the massive and amazing changes that you create. And so while I know that I am psychic, I can perceive and tap into things that most people cannot. I don't identify myself as psychic. Like, that's not one of the titles that I use, because I know that what I do is way beyond just being psychic, just knowing. So I'm able to tap into the quantum field to be able to help you shift and change your frequency, removing lower vibrating energies so that you can create changes. Like, we're here. I'm not just giving people information or wisdom. Having been in the healing arts for 40 years, I know a lot of things. So, but we're not just here teaching you things, or the meditation that we do is not just to help you relax. We're actually literally changing and elevating your frequencies so that you can let go of the things that are not aligned in these higher frequencies. You can start to step into the shifts and changes that you create. Let's see what else. So yes, so we're becoming far more efficient, though, with what we're doing. And so as a result, things are moving faster, energies are getting clearer, more people are tapping into their information and their knowledge. And so that's why I wanted to do the clearing that we're going to do today, is because, like, you might know, like, I'd like to be here. How many of you know that you have gifts, but you're afraid, you're afraid to tap into those gifts. You're afraid of what your family's going to think or what your friends are going to think. And so you're afraid to go there. You're afraid that maybe you don't know how to navigate the spiritual realm. You're afraid of maybe bringing in dark entities or connecting with dark entities, and you don't know how to navigate that. So that could be really scary. So I'm curious how many of you are, like, you're gifted, but you're just afraid. Let's see how many. Why not tarot? So not that I have anything against tarot cards. It's just not my thing. I have used them in the past, but I tap. I don't need a card to tap into what's really going on. And there are some really gifted tarot card readers out there. I have nothing against tarot, so just know that. Messages from your uncle, please. So we're not doing We're not doing personal readings, or we're not tapping into the dead here today. So we're just going to be doing a MediClearing that all of you can benefit from. And hello from California. If you're in Southern California, we are welcoming the rain here today because there's been some fires that are going on. So I'm so grateful for the rain. I was working on the fires yesterday. You're welcome for this information as an XJW. Yes, and this weekend I am going to be speaking at a conference for former Jehovah's Witnesses, the Empowered Minds Conference. And so this is sort of a practice run of the information I was going to be giving there. So thank you for entertaining all this. Well, very trained to be in fear. Yes, especially all of you ex-Jehovah's Witnesses that might be here. We massive amounts of fear around the spiritual realm. I know I grew up in a divided household, meaning my mother was a Jehovah's Witness, my father was an alcoholic. And over the years, we would, back in the day when we would take him to the state hospital to dry out, before we would go in, my mom would always pray to keep us safe from the demons. And so everything was all about the demons, being afraid of this spiritual realm. But it's actually so much easier to navigate all of this when, one, you're not afraid and you're excited about being curious about, all of this spiritual realm. And yes, if you are in the Southern California area and San Diego area, we're going to be meeting tomorrow. So thank you for the link, Roma, for those of you who want to join us live. And so many inspiring speakers and people who have made it successfully to the other side and are thriving now. So it's all about the will to win. I think that's the title of the seminar. Does it say there? It doesn't say there, but I think that's the theme of the whole weekend. So anyway, so we're going to be doing a clearing. But before that, I wanted to share a couple things with you because, I'm always listening, always listening to how I'm being guided by spirit, how we're becoming far more efficient now, and things are moving faster. And so as a result, I've created a program that's much much smaller chunk. It's a smaller chunk. And it's called the mini alchemy session, where it's only 30 minutes. And it's amazing how much I can clear in 30 minutes now. Absolutely. It's mind blowing for me, actually. And so this report comes with an altitude report. So we know specifically where to go for your specific issues. And so it would really be great for someone who maybe is a healer and they've come up against that glass ceiling. They can't quite see what that next step is. They know there's something there, but they can't get through that next block. Or maybe you're someone who's, don't want to do a big chunk, a big thing. And you want to take maybe a little babier step or something that's a little more manageable. That's not going to be so much. And so those are the people that would be especially, this program would be especially good for. So it comes with some bonuses. It comes with a breakthrough. I'm ready for my breakthrough bonus. That's one of the bonuses. Comes with a temperature report. 30 minutes where we're just going to dive in deep. It comes with some affirmations, some new ones that have just been created as well that are really in this high frequency to help you maintain this frequency that we're going to get to in this 30 minutes. And also, one other thing that I just, oh, yes. So you guys have been hounding me for a new updated 20-minute meditation that you can listen to every day. So some of you need that prompt to help keep you informed about how to run this process of running your energy. So I've created a new one, up to date. And that is also included in this program. So that's another way of helping you to maintain this new higher frequency. So I'm doing that, which is a little more self-paced instead of the larger program, the month-long program where 3 times a week I'm giving you a temperature reading via text. So this is a little more self-paced, but getting a big chunk of stuff specific to you that's going to be moved out of the way. So anyway, that's available here if you'd like to check that out. So that's that. And yes. So because there's some of you who love coming here every week and tapping into these higher frequencies. I often use light language that will want to come through that helps to also bring us into these higher frequencies. But this is also more of a general clearing. And so while you may be benefiting, and I'm glad you are, you might want to go a little deeper, more specific with your stuff. And so that's what this would be. This 30-minute alchemy session would be great for. But let's go ahead. Oh, and before we get started, I wanted Roma to play a little testimony of someone who has worked with me. And so if you would just be patient, and then we'll get to our clearing. What have you got, Roma? Good to have you here, Tiffany.
But I have to say, when I started, I said I wanted to be chronic pain-free. And I was really specific about using the word chronic because I understand that, pain is there to tell us something. Our body is there to tell us when something's wrong, but it doesn't have to be there all the time. And I'm pleased to say 3 weeks in, I don't have the chronic pain anymore. And I can tell the difference between the pains that I've got, like nations of pain. So I can tell you yesterday and today I was feeling really tired and I had groggy head. My neck kind of hurt a little bit. I know that's food. Like I knew that's food, but the emotional stuff, the things that I'd been holding on to for so long that was causing that constant things there, it's not there anymore. It's gone. And that happened like after we had that discussion, where you told me to think about my 10-year-old self and what would she have to say. And I did reflect on that and I journaled on that. And the insight was that was the moment I stopped believing in me. And I believed everybody else. And my reality of the world was outside and I couldn't be me anymore. So it was huge to have that revelation and to release it.
Wow.
And allow myself to be me. So
yes, that's so heartwarming. So amazing.
I haven't said it out loud, so that's why I've started crying.
Yeah.
But, it's amazing.
And so when you say chronic pain, like how many years have you been in pain?
Oh, for as long as I can remember. Wow. At least from 16, 17, 18. Wow. Always had back pain, always. And but the thing is, I've done so much work prior to coming to you, and it had reduced a lot. I was just at that point where I was like, I just don't want this anymore. I know it's reduced, but why is there still something? Like, why is there still something there? And I just couldn't get it. And thank you so much for helping guide me to find my way to release that.
Wow, this is what I live for. So, thank you so much. That's such a blessing.
Thank you.
To hear that. And wow, thank you for sharing that, Roma. I still always get emotional watching that. It's just really heartwarming. So yes, that is just one of the many, many benefits of being able to get some of the stuff cleared out of your way. We don't have to keep suffering in silence. And we can create so many shifts, whether it's in our health, whether it's in our relationships that are struggling and lack of communication, or our finances, our businesses. All of these things can be shifted and changed with some very simple and 30 minutes that can really just send you right through the wall that you might be up against, or that glass ceiling. So Tiffany's asking a great question here about whether or not it's more beneficial when getting grounded to be barefoot on the ground or earth. So that is actually, it's a different kind of grounding. That is actually grounding our physiology into the ground. So that is a good thing that you can do. However, it's not the same as the grounding that we're doing. The grounding that we're doing, you can do in an airplane. So and it's you don't have to rely on any devices. You don't have to rely on being in a location. Like some people will buy those grounding mats, or they sleep on them. They work with their feet sitting on them. So don't think that you can't be grounded unless you have one of those things, or unless you got your feet in the dirt. So the grounding that we're doing, it's a little bit different, and it's always available. So great question. Thank you for asking that. All right. Well, speaking of getting grounded, let's get started with our energy clearing for today. And so today, the focus is around releasing energies that keep us afraid of connecting to the spiritual realm. So I know how to navigate these darker energies, and I'm fearless about it. and so when I'm talking about fear entities, because we're going to find these today. When I first found these were demons, but I don't like to call them that because it's a very triggering kind of word. I grew up with demons everywhere. And so it makes people too afraid. So I call them what they are: fear entities. They induce and instill fear in people. And it's the number one tool that these people on the planet that are controlling everything, this higher oppressive influence, they use these fear entities to control us. They use control beings. They use energetic implants. So we're going to be releasing, I predict, no, generally we release these fear entities and control beings in a clearing. So we'll be finding that as well. And hello from New York. Great to have New York here. Good. All right, so let's go ahead and get grounded, ultra grounded. So we're going to establish that line of energy that goes from the base of our spine all the way to the center of the planet using our free imagination. Great. And then we're going to send those roots down from the bottoms of our feet, and it's going to intermingle with this pure darkness that's below the surface of the earth, this intelligent communication layer of the roots. So let your roots intermingle with the root system, and let that wrap around the entire planet, maybe going as deep as a redwood tree, deep into the earth. So as tall as a redwood tree is going up, we want to go that far down into the earth. And so now we're going to start bringing this abundant, feminine, pure darkness up through the feet, up through the ankles so you can have more fun, up through the calves so you can release that unused adrenaline, up through the knees and the upper part of your thigh where you access more of your personal power. Then it's going to go down your grounding cord, so up the legs and down the grounding. So stepping on a biomat is not going to do these parts. There's 5 parts to getting ultra grounded now. Let's see if there's a worry circle. Yes, it's out to the 3rd layer of our aura. So this worry circle radiates around our root chakra, and it holds all of our worry, stress, anxiety, doubts, fears, uncertainty. And so we're going to release all of that by using our imagination to pull the circle in and just dump it all down that grounding cord. We're just going to keep pulling as we're breathing and releasing. This works like gravity. There's less effort in this than you would think. It's not like we have to push the stuff down. And just let it drain. Just let it drain away. There we go. And then next, we're going to ground our hearts. We want to connect our hearts to the center of the earth. So the heart is nice and open because we have all these big-hearted people here, but it's not grounded. So let's see what's blocking the heart from getting grounded. It's actually in your root chakra, out to that third layer. There's a control being here. So this is the first of these darker energies that we're going to find, we're going to release. It's not scary. So you're going to use your imagination to imagine a black flame, pure darkness, just like this dark energy that's below the planet, below the surface of the earth. Pure darkness is also found in the womb of a mother where it's dark, but it's creating new birth, something to be rebirthed or to be birthed. So as we're transmuting this control being we're just dissolving it with our imagination. There we go. Let's see if the heart can get grounded now. There it goes. Did you notice that difference? So pay attention to the feelings that you feel in your body. Those are real feelings. You're not making these feelings up. And the more you tap into this feeling, the feelings that you're experiencing, the more access to more senses you're going to have. And this is going to increase your ability to be more psychic, to have more greater knowing. That's all being psychic is. You just know more. You're tapped into more senses, the extra senses that people are not paying attention to. All right, so now we're grounded. There's a fifth and final part to getting ultra grounded. So for women, I don't know if men want to do this for the men part, but women, we're going to rub our hands together and we're going to put our hands on both of our ovaries. And we're going to start allowing that to release the energy that collects in our ovaries. So we're going to imagine two lines of energy going from both of the ovaries down into our grounding cord so we can release all of those energies that collect there. Women, these ovaries become like sponges and they just absorb other people's stuff. That's how we heal other people, is through absorption. And so the men want to draw a line of energy from the prostate and the testicles down into the grounding cord. And so thank you for whoever it was that corrected me. It's not prostrate, it's prostate. And so prostrate is where you go on the ground and you're in that praying on the ground and you're prostrating yourself. So we are talking about the prostate or prostate. Okay, good. So men are grounded, women are grounded. So we're all ultra grounded now. Far more than you're ever going to get with us in one of those biomats. Not saying they're wrong. You can use one if you have it. Don't throw it away if you've got one. Okay, great. So now we're going to tap into pure source energy far above our heads. And we're going to start bringing this golden white light, if you want to imagine that, down into the creative rings that are stacked above your head. And it's going to start recalibrating your dreams and desires. Maybe you have a desire to be more psychic, to tap into more of your greater knowing, or to not be afraid, to be confident with your tapping into this information. You put all those intentions up in your rings, that and more, that and better. So we're tapping into infinite possibilities. So as we're bringing pure source down through these creative rings, into these creative rings, It's stopping right at the crown. So we want to be able to give ourselves permission to have what we desire. And so there's a permission circle up at our crown, just like there's a worry circle at our root. So in this permission circle, it's blocked out to the 15th layer. So that's where the 1% hang out. They don't want us to be sovereign. They don't want us to tap into our knowing, because then we really know what they're up to. They don't want that. All right, so we're going to use a black flame right at the crown, and it's going to help transmute this control being that's way out at that 15th layer, not allowing us to access our full sovereignty. So when you're sovereign, you don't ask for other people for permission. You stand in your truth and you proceed accordingly. So we're going to use that black flame right there in the crown. Oe nae maka ae ti tio no pui ea, kumo oe ea, tia na tia ke a papa no tu ea. So for those of you who are new, that is the language of light. It's not the demons. It's just a frequency that comes in that helps to clear these energies a little faster. It's just a way of being more efficient. It was a gift that was given about a year ago, on my birthday, in fact. We were in Sedona at a crystal skull event, and which is full of data and information like the Akashic records, these ancient skulls. Anyway, it was while I was holding onto one of these skulls that this information started coming in. All right, so now as we're bringing pure source down through the crown and that sixth chakra, so right there, these are the beliefs, stopping right behind our forehead, out to that third layer. So this is where your power is not connected to your sixth chakra, which is where our pineal gland is affected, which taps into our ability to see and to know and to trust what we see. But this is also where we hold limiting and lack mindsets too, or other people's beliefs that may not be aligned with what we know to be true. So we're going to clear the control being. So use another black flame right behind your forehead, the center of your head. And we're going to transmute this being that's keeping these fears in place, like the fear of demons, like all of those fears. For those of you ex-witnesses who are here, those are some of the fears that were put right there in that sixth chakra. And then this control being holds all of it in place. Okay, great. So now as we're bringing pure source down through that sixth chakra and down into the throat, so we're going down through the central core, down through the throat, and down into our heart. So it's stopping right at our heart chakra. And the congestion is going out to the third layer, so that would disconnect our power to our heart, where we have our infinite intelligence. So we want that power connected so we can tap into our knowing. We know far more than you give yourself credit for. So the control being there, use a black flame right in your heart. This heart is also where we self-generate love. Super important part of the energetic anatomy of the heart. So this is all outlined in my book. For those of you who are going to be at the conference in San Diego tomorrow and Sunday, I have books. And so you could get one for free if you couldn't afford a book. I will be offering them for free or by donation if you'd like to offer a donation, an energy exchange. So that's also going to be available. I will sign a book for you. Okay, great. So as we're bringing pure source down through the heart, something else still there. For those of you who are not going to be at the conference, you can access the book on Amazon. Heart, let's see, control, still more control beings. There's about 5 of them. So let's spend a little extra time with a bigger flame, a bigger black flame. And so trust that this flame is intelligent enough to know where this control being. It's not like you have to figure it out. This is way easier than you think. So go ahead and transmute all of that energy. O poyana tiana te akiyama yeana ti ke koyo. Iyama papaika o noyama ye kia. So sometimes I hear in my head people asking about, like all these funny movements I do or the sounds that I make. That's just energy passing through. It's not like I'm possessed or anything. Okay, good. So as we're bringing pure source down through the heart, there it goes, slowly through the heart, down into our solar plexus where it's stopping. So let's go out to the 3rd layer where there's more control beings. There's about 10 of them. So this is what's stopping us from stepping into more of our personal power. Let's use a big black flame right in our solar plexus. Pure darkness transforming these attachments. And so if you're tired, this energy can make you feel tired. It has a lot of anger in it as well. So some of you use this anger as your default energy, as a way of motivating yourself. Not a fun way, not a sustainable use of our solar plexus. And the anger is not even our anger. So it's just feeding the beast. That's what they live on, these darker energies. Okay, great. Let's see if we can bring pure source down through the solar plexus. Great. 2nd chakra. Spilling down the root. All right, great. Take a deep breath into this vertical alignment. We're anchored way up high to pure source energy. We're rooted deeply into our Mother Earth, safe, secure connection. Okay, great. So, so you can imagine, or maybe it's starting to make more sense now, why these powers that be don't want us connecting to our infinite intelligence, to our great knowing, to our greater gifts. Because then it exposes all of them. It's like, pulling that curtain away for that guy behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz. It's like, we see you pulling those levers. We know what you're doing. And so the more people that can tap into their gifts and their knowing, it busts all these games that are keeping humanity asleep and out of their knowing, making them afraid of all of these energies, which is all just part of being our greatest human. So that's what we do here every week. We're helping you to become your greatest, most brilliant human. All right, let's mix this 50-50 energy, 50-50 mixture, the earth energy coming up the legs, pure source coming down the backside. We're going to bring that 50-50 mixture up the front, real close to the spine. All right, so it's coming up into that 2nd chakra where there's some fear and a fear entity. Great. So we still use a black flame for the fear entity right in that 2nd chakra, keeping fear in your energy field. So use that black flame. There's about 5 fear entities here. Wow. And about 15 control beings. So let's just keep going, keep burning all this stuff up, these attachments, the fear, the anger. Oi mai tia na kaye a mumpuye, guam akaye te tae no kupu oyama kaya. Okay, great. Let's see if we can bring this 50-50 mixture up through that second chakra. There we go. Solar plexus, good. Up through the heart, throat, 6, crown, through all of your creative rings. You might even have more now, access to more of your rings. Through all the layers of the aura. Let's clear the third layer. We're going to start at the top. So you might notice how it gets kind of heavy right around that 6th chakra, where these energy doesn't want us to access our knowing, how we see the world. Control being hanging out in that 3rd layer. However you'd like to use that black flame, if you want to create a circle of energy around you and let those flames rise up, you can do that. We're going to jump out to the 15th layer, only this time we're going to start at the bottom. And you can use a black flame here. Let it rise up as we clear this layer where the 1% live and hang out. Excellent, excellent. And then out to the 50th layer. This is one of the newer layers, not even in my book yet. So as we're lifting this, these are the watchers that don't want us to expand out into these outer layers. We can use a rainbow flame to clear the watcher energy. Here we go. A lot up around the 6th chakra, the head. Okay. And then the 100th layer wants to get cleared again. So I love that. We're still waiting to see when we reach infinity. So we haven't quite reached infinity with the aura yet. So let's start at the bottom. What's in this layer hasn't even been identified yet, but I'm always told to use a black flame. So that means it's a darker energy. And so we're transmuting all of this energy in our aura so we can keep expanding, becoming more radiant, more brilliant, allowing our bodies to be healthier so we can hold more light, we can hold a higher frequency. So last but not least, let's clear our circle of reciprocity. We're going to go to the heart. We're going to start bringing this radiant, bright, brilliant, warm heart energy up to that right shoulder. So up this way. And we're going to, so it's stopping right there at the shoulder. So I'm going to use a black flame. There's control being there. It doesn't want us to give our gifts out into the world. It doesn't want our love, our self-generated love getting out into the world. So we have tools that are stronger than all of these energies. So just as a reminder, the fact that we have a physical body makes us more powerful than any of these darker energies. They don't have a body, so they want to use our bodies. So we're more powerful than they are. Just remember that. And now we have the tools to keep them out of our energy field. Okay, good. So let's put our fingertips together like we're holding a small ball. We're going to start bringing this self-generated love into that left arm. Wow, you guys are ready to receive. That's great. Through the front and back of the heart, throat, 6 crown rings. All right, great. So there we are. There we are. Let's make sure, just want to check a couple more energies, that we're not holding any fear in our energy field. So this is one of the energies that we measure in the report. There's only 15% left, but 15% grows into 50%. And then the next thing you know, you're afraid to go anywhere, and you're afraid to do this, that, or the other, or you feel tired. And so it starts with a little bit. We're going to go to the root chakra, out to that third layer, where there's just some fear. Let's just send it down the grounding. Actually, it's more than that. Cords. Okay, good. Let's release the people that are cording to you. So this is probably not even your fear. It belongs to them. So ideally, people are not corded to us. Let's use a black flame. Sometimes we'll use a violet flame for cords, but today it's saying use a black flame. So use a black flame to transmute the attachments of other people trying to use you as their grounding cord. We don't want that. Okay, good. There we go. And you can also just gently pull those cords out and just send it back to who it belongs as well. Okay, so now the fear is at 0. So I'm curious if any of you are feeling different than when you first came here, and how you would describe that. It could just be a few words. Maybe you're feeling calmer. Maybe you're feeling less foggy in the head. Maybe you're feeling more confident. Maybe you're feeling more tired. Sometimes that happens. So I'm curious to hear how you'd like to feel, or how you are feeling. Just so that you're like, I know this works. But some people who are new here, they wonder, I don't know, does this really work? And so here we have Inga, who's feeling more released, happy and tearful. That's great. I love it. So this is real. This is people on other sides of the planet, or they're certainly not here in the same room. Happy and tearful. Okay, great. So some other comments would be great. So for those of you who feel more tired after these clearings, that's because you're back in your body now. So a lot of times when we have too many energies in our energy field that don't feel comfortable, we leave our bodies, and we're attached by a very thin energetic thread. But if we're not in our bodies, then we don't know what's going on. We don't know how fearful we are. We don't know how angry we are. We can't hear the messages that are coming in through the spiritual realm. So super important to get back in our bodies. But at the same time, you might notice how tired you are because maybe you've not been getting enough sleep, and you had all these things in your energy field, and you were tired. So if you haven't been getting enough sleep, when you get back in your body, you're going to notice how tired you are. So that's another thing. So here's someone who's feeling lighter. Excellent, June. Thank you for sharing. You're welcome, Jalpa. Jalpa's all the way in India. So thank you for sharing. All right. Well, as these other comments are coming in, I'm going to wish you have a great weekend. We'll be back here on Friday like we are every week. We've been doing this for years. I don't know, 4 or 5 years now. And it is a great way to get your energy a little bit more aligned. So this is really good for new people. And actually, I know a lot of you you enjoy this energy, so you love coming here every week. So be sure to share it again. Yes, I feel tired, but relaxed. Okay, good. Too much energy in my head. Maybe you haven't been there in a while and you didn't realize how much going on in your head. Here's someone who has mental clarity. Thank you, Debbie, for sharing. Excellent. Yeah, so this is real stuff that we're doing. We're changing the frequencies of people so that you can start elevating your frequency. You can start living in these higher vibrations where your dreams already exist. So if this is, you'd like something more than what we have offered here today and that we offer every week, be sure to sign up for the 30-minute mini alchemy session. We can help you break through that maybe just a little bit that you need to get through, and you can be on your merry way. My feet are hot. Great. The energy's moving through. That's great. Someone else who's feeling quite light. Jalpa's feeling lighter too. Excellent. Yes, this is real stuff that we're doing here, tapping into our infinite intelligence and our greatest gifts and helping you do more of the same as well. All right, we'll see you all next week. Have a great weekend. Get out in nature if you can. And sending you much love. Namaste.
It's been really incredible for me, like to be able to shift the stories around, where I had felt like I had been taken advantage of, like with financially, and I shifted all of those stories, and was able to have really deep compassion for myself in recognizing that rather than feeling like a victim, I just was really able to clear that. This has had profound effect on my romantic relationship. It has just taken it to such another level. I know for me, the two have always been really kind of tangled together. So it's really felt like it's really cleared that. And I literally last week, I was going through some of my paperwork, which I'd kind of been avoiding. And I suddenly realized, I looked at my bank account, and all of a sudden I'm getting all this extra money. And I'm like, where is that coming from? And I literally don't really even need to work. And I'm like, this is wild. And I didn't even have that in my space. So yeah, this has been really, really incredible. It opened a lot for me.
Great. That is so excellent to hear. And I love that this has also opened up your relationship space because I know we've been opening the channels for receiving, so it doesn't really matter what the receiving is. Money is just one piece. Love is another part of an abundance of love, so how we do anything is how we do everything. And so I so love to hear that it's helped such a broad spectrum of your life.
It really has. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.